tsk tsk tsk. That's a naughty word. We never rob. We just sort of borrow a bit from those who can afford it. The idea of a stag hunt evokes chivalry, knights in jerkins and hose, ladies on side saddles with wimples and billowing dresses, a white stag symbolizing something or other, and Robin Hood getting in the way. An actual stag hunt is more like a horseback meeting of a county planning commission. Robin Hood is often seen as the hands-on-hips, archetypal, tally-ho hero. But, realistically, the one calling the shots wouldn't be at the front shouting about it. He'd be the one you don't expect. People look up to Jacques Mesrine as if he were a Robin Hood, stealing from the rich, but he never gave anything back to anybody. I was very struck by the fact that Robin Hood became increasingly taken over by the middle and upper classes. He starts out a bandit but becomes a fully fledged aristocrat. Growing up as a Brit, Arthur and Merlin and Camelot, and just the idea of it, is embedded in the culture and in your soul. Growing up, King Arthur is alongside Robin Hood, as those great British folk tales, myths and icons. I remember my first scene with Alan Rickman, and I was anxious because he is a slight method actor. As soon as he is in his cloak, he walks and talks like Snape. It is quite terrifying, but I really wanted to talk to him because Robin Hood was one of my favorite films. Basically hated everything made in the 80s, music, television. It was really about the 90s for me. Encino Man was a big hit. Robin Hood, Men in Tights. After high school, I worked as a messenger boy at a local bank. I was miserable. I felt like Robin Hood chained in the Sheriff of Nottingham's dungeon. As a would-be writer, I thought it was a catastrophe. As a bank employee, I could barely add or subtract and had to count on my fingers. When I played Robin Hood, I knew the Grey Troll was Alan Rickman's and it didn't bother me. I always think that leading actors should be called the best supporting actors. This left-wing kind of speech, the Robin Hood thing that Pablo had, of course he was a criminal and a mean person, but it wasn't a false. He wasn't false. I don't know what kind of president he would be, maybe a very bad one. But I am sure he would do things for poor people, popular things that wouldn't solve their lives but would help them. International development aid is based on the Robin Hood principle, take from the rich and give to the poor. My message to David Cameron, as the head of our government, is to seriously think again about this Robin Hood tax, the tax to help the poor by taking a little bit from the rich. I thought I'd write a massive postmodern novel about Richard the Lionheart and Robin Hood, but it turns out they couldn't have met because the first mention of Robin Hood appears 60 years after Richard died. The idea of a financial transaction tax on Wall Street trades is gaining momentum. I have a bill called, nicknamed the Robin Hood tax also. It's a bill that taxes stock trades, derivatives and bonds, and would generate in the neighborhood of $300 billion a year. In true-life dramas, you have to do so much research. It's a big responsibility to make sure things are as correct as possible. In Robin Hood, you have more artistic license. It's all action, adventure and reaction. This gives everyone a chance to make their characters their own and to make them believable. I was proud of Robin Hood, even though critics wrote negative things. But I had to laugh when this big, shaven-headed Hungarian stunt guy first saw me. He said, "You Jonas? You playing Robin Hood? You need to go to the gym today." So I thought, I'm going to show people. Plain white t-shirts do it for me every time. You can spend anything from £3 to £50 on a t-shirt, but I've bought some great ones from H&M. As well as shelling out on Duffer of St. George and a Polish label I discovered while filming Robin Hood in Hungary called Scotch and Soda. My agent asked if I fancied Robin Hood and I thought, yeah, why not? I hadn't watched it, to be honest, but I'd seen bits and knew it was really popular Saturday family viewing with heaps of action. I thought it would be great fun. I was up for a good old play fighting and the scripts were terrifically exciting. In P7, I played Robin in a musical version of Robin Hood and afterwards Doom McLean was standing with Mum and Dad and he told them that I should go into drama. It is still extraordinary to me that a man in that period would think that that was an option for me. I did quite a lot of fencing when I was a kid. I was a swimmer, and I played a lot of basketball. I was a fencer for Great Britain, but I only did that because I watched Robin Hood, Star Wars, Highlander and the Three Musketeers, and I wanted to emulate Richard Harris and the great British actors that I grew up watching.